This could be massive for the Boston Celtics free agency plans, as Jrue Holiday has spoken up and said that he would like to sign an extension with the Boston Celtics this season to ensure his availability with this team for the future. We'll be breaking down how great that is for the Celtics, looking at Jrue Holiday's stats, looking at how great of a team he's been playing, but we'll also be looking at the cap space for the future as well. Diving in, looking at if the Celtics were to give Jrue Holiday an extension, what would it be roughly around in the money aspect, and how that would affect the Boston Celtics for the future as well. All of that and more on this episode of the Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. But before we dive into any of this Boston Celtics content, I would like to say that roughly 79.9% of our viewers are not subscribed. It would greatly appreciate it if you guys hit that big old red subscribe button and join the Celtics Digest family. We can't thank everyone enough that already let us get to 3,000 subscribers, and we're on our new way to 4,000 subscribers as our goal. So if you want to make sure you stay up to date on daily Boston Celtics content and news, hit that subscribe button, as you definitely will not regret it. But let's dive into the news at hand today. So make sure to grab a snack, as today's episode is going to be a jam-packed one as we dive in looking at this Celtics news, discussing Jrue Holiday working towards an extension with the Boston Celtics. Now, personally, I'm very ecstatic to see that Jrue Holiday is wanting to work towards an extension with this Boston Celtics team. I'm very, very happy to see him, as he's been a guy that the Celtics gave up Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon. They did give up a lot to get him, and he's been a great, tremendous piece for the Celtics team. His offense hasn't been the greatest, but in the recent games, he's getting into his fluid motions and finding his role in this Celtics team, and he's definitely wanting to stay long-term. If you want to look at this article, it says Jrue Holiday gives update on future with Celtics and saying, "I'd like to be here," and Holiday is eligible to sign an extension in April. Now, this article was posted by Nick Goss, not our Nick Goss. So if you guys don't know Nick Goss, make sure to check out the other Digest channels, Maple Leafs Digest, we got Heat Digest and Jays Digest. He works for that. But we have this here, which is from the NBC Sports Boston, and I took this screenshot, so excuse me if it's a little bit blurry, but it says Jrue Holiday on his potential extension, and saying that Jrue said he would like to be here. "I feel like I'm getting more and more comfortable, loving the guys, loving the organization, and loving the city. My last extension was during the course of the year, and I think that we can do both, talk about it and prepare for games and prepare for what the future is." Now, this is very exciting to hear, as if he wants to work through this extension in the season, that is great, as the Celtics could lock him up before he even can get even near free agency, before he can do his player option, and the Celtics can lock up a long-term extension that could help them for their benefit of the future as well. If we want to keep looking at this, we can see that Holiday's contract has a player option for the 2024 and 2025 season. He can decline that option and become an unrestricted free agent this summer. The Celtics and Holiday, per league rules, aren't eligible to agree on an extension until 6 months after the trade that brought him to Boston, so the earliest it could happen is April. Holiday said that his last extension was during the course of the year, and I think that we can do both. Keeping Holiday makes a lot of sense based on the value he brings to the team, and he's an excellent two-way guard and provides much needed leadership and championship experience. Like we mentioned, Jrue Holiday does have a championship ring with the Milwaukee Bucks and brings that championship prowess to this team. And if the Celtics are, slotted to make a deep playoff run like they are as of now, or even make a finals appearance, the Boston Celtics can use that championship pedigree to have on this team, and it will definitely help them in their influence, because even though some of the Celtics have already been there, not everybody on this team has been in the finals. We want to keep looking at this article, though. The only concern for the Boston Celtics, and I mentioned this, is because they have to pay Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown max contracts, along with paying Kristaps Porzingis a high salary, and Jrue Holiday. Derrick White, who has been proven to be an awesome fit since arriving in Boston during the 2021-22 season, has one more year left on his contract and is able to become a free agent in the summer of 2025. Keeping everyone might be tough for Boston, given the restraints of the new CBA. Now, the only thing I have to say about that for the Boston Celtics is they did try to work an extension with Derrick White before the start of the season, trying to lock him up on a more friendly team deal. Both sides couldn't agree on a deal, so we'll have to work on the Holiday extension in the offseason, and I would definitely expect them to work on that Derrick White extension during the offseason as well with the Jrue Holiday situation. So locking up Jrue Holiday long-term so he can decline his player option would be great for the Boston Celtics, so they don't have to pay him some extra money. Like we just mentioned, $37 million is a lot for a guy in Jrue Holiday on this team, especially where he's mainly a defending guard and he's, a fourth or fifth option on the offensive side of the ball. Now, if we want to keep looking, what kind of extension could Holiday sign with the Boston Celtics? A max contract wouldn't be feasible for the Celtics considering the cost of the roster. Holiday takes a little less than he might get on the open market. It could help the Celtics continue to still get together a loaded squad. So he's got around $37 million player option for next season, and essentially if he turns that down, he'd be looking for a longer term extension. Chris Forsberg said on Saturday's Celtics pregame live. Give him some security, give him maybe some more years in order to maximize the years further out. And we've seen guys do this, like Al Horford signing budget deals to allow you the flexibility to carry on an expensive roster, but knowing that he'll be part of a championship organization, so it'll come down to a balance. Now, I agree. I don't believe that Jrue Holiday is deserving of a max slot. Obviously, he's making around $37 million this year. Kristaps Porzingis, when he signed his extension with the Boston Celtics, this year he's making around $37 million. He signed an extension for roughly around $30 million. So I would expect the Boston Celtics to offer something around there. $30 million being the max that they're probably going to be offering, but something a little bit lower, especially if they got to give Jayson Tatum money in this offseason and look at Derrick White, which we'll be looking at the salary cap in a little bit. We want to keep talking about Jrue Holiday. I think Drew's motivated. It feels like this is a good situation. If this core is going to be here, he'll be okay with giving up money next season. So you got to structure it right. Like, he's not going to give up that much money. There's still a lot of money. And so I wonder what the number is. And yet if they want him and said 3 years, I'm going to have to do the quick math in my head. $35 million, $33 million, $32 per year. It's going to be big money. There's still a lot of money over the next few years. But I think he's okay with it. And a descending deal gives you some flexibility moving forward, as long as he's sure that it's a championship-level organization that gives him the best chance to win another title and ride out the final years of his career with the ability to compete. And that's what it comes down to. Like, what matters to this guy at his age, we've seen it from Al, and it's all about winning. For Jrue, I think it's the same thing. And I would agree. Obviously, Jrue Holiday was very, very impactful on that Milwaukee Bucks team, and saying that he wanted to possibly retire after this last deal with the Milwaukee Bucks. Then he gets moved to the Boston Celtics and ends up in a deal in the deal from Portland, which was great for the Boston Celtics. But Jrue Holiday probably wants to own that still and still probably possibly retire after this. So could this extension be his last? And if he is going to be signing with the Boston Celtics, would it be a little bit more team friendly for this squad? I would be hoping so, like Al Horford and like this article talked. I would think that Jrue Holiday would take a little bit less. 32, 33, 35 is a little still too much for me, and I do like the fact that his contract would be ascending with him getting a little bit older. You would want his contract just, start out maybe being $30 million this year, but then being like 20, 25 next year, and then keep going down. Therefore, he's a little bit easier to be tradable as he's getting older, and it's a little bit easier with the collective bargaining agreement, because if he is to get bought out by the Boston Celtics, which I don't think he wouldn't be able to sign with any of the second apron teams. Now, if we want to look at Holiday's stats, he's averaging 13.3 points, 6.2 rebounds, and 4.6 assists per game, while shooting a career-high 42.5% from three-point range and being the best corner three-point shooter in the NBA. It took him a little while to find his footing, which was understandable considering he came to a new team where he's the third, fourth, or fifth option most nights, but he was the second option in Milwaukee for the last several years, and Holiday was averaging 17 points over the last 5 games. So like I mentioned, he's been very impactful in recent games. Versus the Toronto Raptors, he had that big game where he had 20 points, I believe, like 4 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block. He had everything for the Boston Celtics. And those are the type of performances you want to see from Jrue Holiday. He's tremendously stepped up for the Boston Celtics as well when we've had guys out. When we've had, a similar guy like Kristaps Porzingis or Jaylen Brown be out and Jrue Holiday has to take a bigger offensive load, he stepped up in that role and been effective. And like I mentioned, he's the best corner three-point percent shooter in the entire league. So he definitely has some value for this Boston Celtics team on both sides of the ball. Now, the only complicating part when talking about Jrue Holiday and talking about his extension is looking at the salary cap. So I want to show you guys this, and this is from per Spot Track. So if you guys want to use Spot Track to look at any of this, you guys can see the contracts, you guys can see the salary cap, you can see how many years it affects it, and everything like that. So as you guys can see, with the Boston Celtics, Jrue Holiday has that. He's where the blue is the UFA. So he's a UFA in 2025, 2026. In 24, 25, he has that player option of $36 million, which if it was to decline for the Boston Celtics, would be tremendously huge as the Celtics could work him on an extension. Kristaps is on his RFA deal of $37 million, but his extension is kicking in at $30 million next year. Jaylen Brown is making his big bag, and Jayson Tatum will be getting an extension as well, with Derrick White having his looming in the offseason as well. So the Boston Celtics have a lot of money that they're going to have to allocate and give to some of these star players to make sure that this roster stays the same. Personally, the type of deal that I think Jrue Holiday will be receiving from the Boston Celtics will be roughly between $20 and $25 million, as I think him and Derrick White at this point of their careers are both effective ball players. both effective in the same way, but I think they're very similar on the same skill level. I think Jrue Holiday fitting with this team is obviously a great defender and a great scorer as well, like Derrick White, but Derrick White has significantly improved this offseason and proved that he could have been the Celtics starting point guard legitimately without the help of Jrue Holiday as well. So honestly, I love the effects of Jrue Holiday, but I think him and Derrick White will have similar contracts and standards, especially with Derrick White only making around $17 million this year. He's going to be making a little bit of a pay raise, making it up to like 2025, and I think Holiday will find himself around similar. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you guys think this is great for the Boston Celtics, bringing back Jrue Holiday, having him locked up long term, and having this championship type of pedigree in this locker room for the future? And if so, what do you think is a deal that works out for Jrue Holiday, for him and the Boston Celtics the best? Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Velez, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.